I've seen these golden jelly mushrooms on a hike before. I didn't pick them up because they didn't look edible. I know this might be difficult for you to believe, but I don't put everything in my mouth. They look just like this in the woods on a fallen, decaying tree. I have a photo somewhere in the cloud. They are called golden jellycup or alpine jellycomb or Guianopinopsis alpina, G. alpina for short. My favorite for poetic creativity is Poor Man's Gumdrop. It is supposed to be edible but bland, so I'm not going to bother if I pass their way again. And then there are other species, quote, similar in appearance to add to the confusion and risk factor, and I've learned my lesson about that. You can read more about them in Field Guide to Mushrooms of Western North America. I have a nature box where I save stuff I picked up along my way. My way almost certainly is not the way. In fact, if it was the way, I almost certainly would turn around and find some other way. It's not because I'm contrary or stubborn or more special. Well, maybe some of that. It's more that some things are enjoyed on a less traveled path. I love how Thoreau said it. I would rather sit on a pumpkin and have it all to myself than be crowded on a velvet cushion. Some things can only be discovered when there are fewer distractions. Mostly the awe is noticing things from a different perspective. And I also don't want to be the eye roll recipient when I put one more thing in my pack. I just like to learn all kinds of cool and interesting fun facts. Often I find they are only new or interesting to me. There is nothing more deflating than learning that the coolest thing I just found out nearly everyone else already knew. Most people take extra water, a protein bar, and a 99-cent rain poncho that folds into the size of a credit card. I take an old book I will never reread with several folded sheets of wax paper for pressing leaves and feathers and insect wings. I also bring Ziploc bags for not flattenable things like seeds, bark, moss, rocks, and rust. Most of the rocks don't make it past the kitchen over the sink windowsill. The rest of it ideally ends up on a journal page, or at least that's the plan. I'm really not sure why I do this. Mostly I cannot not do this. I feel an overwhelming nostalgic feeling when I see and touch natural things. They have texture and intricate life that's irresistible. This younger me needs a nature box. She's pressed a few leaves and feathers. You can see them poking out of her book. But she's trying to squash larger pods and seeds and shells between the pages, and that won't work. There are so many things she does that don't work. I'm just delighted that she gathers. I'll have to teach her about mushrooms and not to put everything in her mouth. I hope she never forgets to play. I'm excited to hear all about her skinned knees, balancing on rocks crossing a stream, and her shell collection. I will bless her with friends who hold her hand and share the Odyssey, lots of pockets to fill, and daydreams. She has so much going on in her mind. Isn't her collection basket so sweet?